To be honest, there is one narrative in the Old Testament that I find the most distressing in the entire Bible. It could be considered unsuitable for youngsters. Therefore, before you watch this film, please be informed that this content is not suited for all ages and may elicit painful memories or experiences. Please proceed with caution and care for yourself as we explore this challenging story. The story I'm referring to is contained in Judges chapters 19 to 21. Many people are familiar with chapter 19, but few have delved deeper into the story, and I feel there are important lessons to be learned from such a distressing account. It is a story of loss, violence, and poor decisions, but it also shows us what it means to seek forgiveness, even in the face of adversity. I will tell you about the event as vividly as possible, and then we will discuss the lessons I believe we can learn. So join me as we begin the book of Judges with chapter 19, verse 1. If you enjoy these in-depth examinations, please subscribe to the channel so you don't lose out on future videos that will help us all understand these complicated teachings. The story begins with Levite taking a concubine from Bethlehem, Judah. However, the connection is already plagued with strain. The concubine leaves the Levite and returns to her father's house, where she spends 4 months. Eventually, the Levite sets out to bring her back, demonstrating a sense of attachment or possibly control that propels him to do so. This first section of the narrative emphasizes the shattered character of their relationship, providing insight into the absence of genuine love and respect that should have existed. After some convincing, the concubine's father finally lets them go, and the Levite, his servant, and concubine continue their trek home. On the route, they decide to spend the night in Gibeah, a town belonging to the Benjamin tribe. As night arrives, they find themselves in a vulnerable situation, strangers in a new town with nowhere to stay. Eventually, an elderly man offers them sanctuary, appearing as a beacon of generosity in a town where no one else would take them in. However, this purported act of welcome quickly turns dark. As they settle in for the night, the city's men surround the home, demanding that the Levite be brought out so they can abuse him. Instead, in a frightening turn of events, the Levite surrenders his concubine to the mob to protect himself. The men of the city torture her all night, and by dawn, she collapses on the doorstep, where she eventually dies. The next morning, the Levite discovers her lifeless. In a horrific move intended to arouse indignation, he dismembers her body into 12 pieces and distributes them to Israel's tribes. This heinous gesture has the desired effect. It incites the entire nation. The tribes of Israel band together in indignation, demanding retribution for the horrific atrocity that occurred in Gibeah. Consider the impact of this message. Imagine the shock and anguish that must have swept through the villages as each tribe received a portion of the concubine's body. This violent act forced the people to confront the depths of wickedness that had taken hold of them. It represents the fragmentation of moral order in Israel, but had become indistinguishable from the surrounding turmoil. The tribes band together against Benjamin, demanding that they hand over the men of Gibeah who committed the atrocity. However, the Benjaminites refuse, opting instead to protect their own. This choice sparks civil war, a conflict that pits brother against brother, tribe against tribe, in a battle that nearly wipes out the Benjamin tribe. In their pursuit of justice, the Israelites unleashed a destructive force that killed not only Gibeah's warriors, but nearly wiped out a whole tribe. The coming conflict is nasty. Thousands die on both sides, and the tribe of Benjamin is devastated, with only 600 men remaining, sheltering at the rock of Rimmon, while the rest of Israel mourned the near destruction of one of their own tribes. The initial quest for justice had devolved into a near genocide, leaving the country split and weeping. Consider the emotional toll this must have taken. Imagine a community today that, in its pursuit of justice, kills not only the guilty, but also many innocents. It's a striking warning of how quickly righteous indignation may devolve into something considerably ugly if left unchecked. The Israelites strove to eliminate evil from their midst, but in their zeal, they nearly lost a part of themselves. With Benjamin on the verge of extinction, the Israelites face a new challenge. They had pledged not to give their daughters to the Benjamites as spouses, but now they were afraid of losing one of Israel's tribes entirely. In their desperate attempt to save Benjamin, they turn to more violence. They invade Gibeah, slaughtering every man, woman, and child except 400 young virgins who were taken as wives by the remaining Benjaminites. Even then, there weren't enough women, so they devised another strategy. They order Benjamite men to hide in vines during a Shiloh festival and kidnap women as they emerge to dance. This terrible solution, sanctioned kidnapping, demonstrates the Israelites' moral disorientation. They were willing to violate innocent women's rights in order to save the tribe's future after committing severe wrongs. Imagine the women's anguish and helplessness as they were separated from their relatives and forced to marry men who had survived a war that had torn their country apart. The agony of this event is tangible, affecting not just those who were directly engaged, but also future generations. As we come to the end of this tragic drama, we discover one final, complicated lesson. In the aftermath of the war, only 600 Benjamite males remained, men without wives, and on the verge of extinction. In a fit of rage, the other tribes vowed not to give their daughters to the Benjaminites as spouses. They were now faced with a problem. They recognized that if they did nothing, the tribe of Benjamin would go, along with one of Israel's 12 tribes. This provoked another problematic decision. The remaining Israelites raided a nearby town, Gibeah, slaughtering all of the male inhabitants and seizing 400 virgin women as spouses for the Benjaminites. Even so, there weren't enough women, so they planned a way in which the surviving Benjamite men would take women from a festival while they danced, thus kidnapping them as brides. This brings us to the fifth lesson. Even when we make bad judgments, there is still potential for redemption, though it may not undo the harm done. In this case, God enabled the tribe of Benjamin to survive, but they bore the consequences of their actions. Their cities were destroyed, families were split apart, and relationships were built on violence and trauma. Nonetheless, God's kindness enabled them to repair and continue, even in the face of such grave blunders. It's a sobering reminder that while forgiveness is possible, it doesn't undo the harm caused by our decisions. The scars remain, and they become part of the story, which can serve as both a warning and a source of encouragement. Consider real-life scenarios in which individuals or groups have made significant mistakes. Imagine a person who has made poor decisions, perhaps due to addiction or anger, and has reached rock bottom. Recovery and redemption are possible, but the effects of previous deeds do not just disappear. Relationships must be rebuilt, trust must be re-earned, and emotional or physical scars linger. This narrative demonstrates that even after the most devastating of decisions, it is still possible to find a way forward, even if the journey is marred by the past. The book of Judges concludes with a chilling statement that summarizes this tragic story and the overall trend found throughout the book. In those days, there was no king in Israel. Everyone did what was right in his own eyes. It serves as a sobering reminder of what may happen when people lose their sense of accountability, compassion, and spiritual guidance. In the absence of these guiding principles, anarchy often takes over, with disastrous consequences for people, families, and entire communities. As we reflect on this story, we notice a compelling reminder that the decisions we make have consequences that frequently go far beyond what we see in the moment. It teaches us the value of accountability, treating others with respect and compassion, and being true to our guiding beliefs. However, it also reminds us of the enduring nature of grace, even in our darkest moments, and the opportunity to learn, rebuild, and seek better paths forward. Consider how these principles apply now. In a world that frequently feels chaotic and removed from a moral compass, this story invites us to contemplate how we may restore a sense of accountability, both personally and collectively. When people believe they have no one to answer to, and laws or moral standards are neglected, the seeds of instability are sown. Whether in a community, an organization, or even a family, accountability serves as the glue that keeps society together, reminding us that our actions have an impact on others. Furthermore, the concubine's treatment serves as a sharp reminder of the importance of each individual. In a world where dehumanization can take many forms, including prejudice, violence, and even everyday neglect, we are challenged to view people as beings of divine value. It is about valuing each person's dignity, regardless of their station or what they can accomplish for us. Consider how the story would have turned out if the Levite had viewed his concubine as an equal partner worthy of love and protection, or if the men of Gibeah had seen her humanity rather than their own needs. Finally, the incident serves as a harsh reminder of the perils of losing touch with our beliefs. Many people today feel detached from conventional forms of community or spirituality, making it more crucial than ever to discover ways to stay grounded. This could be through personal faith, solid family relationships, or community involvement, whatever keeps us grounded in a moral foundation. Without this foundation, we risk making judgments that are not only harmful to ourselves, but also have far-reaching consequences. If there is one final thought I'd like to leave you with, it's this: we are responsible for the decisions we make, and while we may be forgiven, the consequences frequently affect others around us. The story of the Levite and the concubine, the tribe of Benjamin, and the Israelite civil war is both a stark warning and a hopeful reminder of the possibilities of rebuilding after mistakes. This story may be tough to hear, but it provides valuable lessons about accountability, compassion, and redemption. What stands out for you the most? How do you believe we can use these teachings today? Please share your ideas in the comments below. Remember that even at our worst moments, there is hope. We have the power to rebuild, to treat others with dignity, and to make decisions that promote healing rather than harm. Thank you for watching. See you in a future video, and until then, may you be blessed and guided in all of your decisions.